Welcome to yet another installment of the New York Times Hard Sudoku. We can find an easy 8 and it has to go in this cell, of course, because of this 8 and this 8 and the 8 over here to the right. It's always nice to find the first digit because then we know that we are off to the races, and we can actually find another 8 because if we scan across here we can see that this row has an 8 in it and this row has an 8 in it. What about now an 8 for this row 6? Well, because of the 8 up here we can only place it here, and that's it. As you can probably tell by now, I don't usually like to go by the numbers 1 through 9 to find candidates. I like to just scan the entire grid and see what I can come up with. And in this case, I can come up with a 4 for this cell here because of this 4 and this 4 and this 4. The 4 for the top row will have to go here. There is no other place for it. We can do another 4 and it has to go here because of this 4 and the 4 here. So the 4 will have to go in this cell like so, and that leaves only a 1 to go in one of these two cells, and therefore we will have to find later on a 1 for this cell or for this cell. And look here, there's a 2 and a 9 here, and there's a 2 and a 9 here. So 2 and 9s have been found for rows 4 and 6. What about now a 2 and a 9 for row 5? The only place that they can go are here and here. So these two places have to be a 2 and a 9 in some order. So armed with this knowledge, where now can we put a 1 in this box? Since it can't go here or here, they are now occupied by ghosted 2s and 9s, and this 1 prevents it from going here and here. This is the only place left for a 1. So to complete this row 5, we still will have to find 1, 5, and a 6. We know that the 6 will have to go in one of these two cells, and we know that the 5 will have to go in this cell or this cell, and the 1, well, that can go here or here. So we can't really place any of those at this point in time. It just occurred to me that we can find another 8. Look at these two 8s up here. They force an 8 in this cell or in this cell. Because of this 8, it can't go here, right? So, but this 8 also restricts the 8 for this column to this cell or this cell. One of these two cells will have to be an 8. Let's call that a ghost 8 for the moment. So with a ghost 8 here and an 8 here, and these two 8s, there's only one place that we can place an 8 in this row 2, and that's here. And I notice then that a 9 for this column 9 will have to go either here or here. And given this 9 here, we now know that a 9 for row 2 will go in this cell or in this cell. Just something to keep in mind for a little later. But since we can all count to 9, let's count to 9 in this column, shall we? We need to find a 4, 6, 7, and a 9 to complete column 9. 4, 6, 7, and a 9. Look at the 4 and 7 here, and the 9 here. That makes this cell a 6. I'm having a closer look now at column 1. It's a little bit restricted, I think, because of the 1, this 1 and this 1, and the 1 down here gives us a 1 for this cell. And since we have this 1 that can see this cell, we now know that one of these cells will have to be a 1. And because of the 1 over here, we know that it's must be this one. Now, given these two ones, we'll have to find a 1 for these 3 cells. There's a 1 here, and there's a 1 that's going to go here because of these 2 ones. So the only cell left for a 1 in the column is here. And as we are looking a little closer at the 8s, we need an 8 for this cell and this cell. And after we found this 1, we now know that the 8 here puts an 8 in this cell. And these 2 8s and the 8 here gives us an 8 for this cell. And that takes care of all the 8s in the grid. I'm also making a mental note of this 3 here and the 3 here. That puts a 3 in one of these 2 cells, this cell or this cell, and therefore in this cell or in this cell. It couldn't go here because of that 3. And we are getting a little closer to completing this puzzle. I think we need a 2, 5, and a 7 to complete this column 4. There's a 7 and a 5 in this row already, so the 2 will have to go here. And these are now 7 and 5. And of course, because of the 7 here, this one is a 5 and this is a 7. So we still have a 2 and a 9 pair going on here, leaving a 5 and a 7 for these 2 cells, 5 and a 7. And because of the 5 up here, we now know that one of these 2 cells will have to be a 5. And something that I often tend to overlook is that since I know, and I've known for quite some time, that these 2 are 2 and 9, I only need to fill this cell. And the only missing number now from the row would be a 5. It goes here. And we know now what this single cell will have to be, right? Because of the last 4 numbers that we need for this row, which are, of course, a 3, 4, 6, and a 9. There's a 3 and a 6 and a 4 that can see this cell. So this is a 9. And that gives us a 9 for this cell. Do you remember why? Well, first of all, this cell here cannot be a 9, can it? And we have already established that one of these 2 cells will have to be a 9. So in order to place a 9 in row 2 at all, it needs to go here. Remember the 9 here? It puts a 9 in one of these 2 cells. And since we have a ghost 9 here and we have a 9 here, we need a 9 for this cell or for this cell. And that prompted me to put a 9 in this one. This now gives us a 2 and a 6 to complete these 2 cells in column 5. So what would we need in the remaining 4 cells? If these are 2 and 6, we would still need a 3, 5, 7, and a 9 to complete this column. Now there's a 5 and a 7 and a 9 here, and that puts a 3 in this cell, doesn't it? And this 3 and this 3 now gives us the 3 for this cell, and this cell has to be a 5 now. The 5 and the 5 gives us a 5 for this cell, and remember what the last digit was up here? That's right, it's a 7, it goes here. These 2 cells now have to be a 4 and a 3 in some order, and these will have to be a 1 and a 7, and we can enter them because of the 7 here. This is a 1 and this is a 7. The 7 here and here gives us a 7 for this cell because of these 2 7s. And because of these two ones and these two, this cell up here in row 1 now becomes a 1. We need to find a 4, 5, and a 6 for these 3 cells. There's a 4 and a 6 in this row, so this is a 5. And now we have a 4 and a 6 pair going on here. We also have a 4 and a 6 in this cell. Therefore, we know that this cell cannot be a 4 or a 6, because that would give us a unique rectangle problem and make the puzzle invalid. How about then we look at column 2, where we still need to find a 2, 5, and a 7. To complete the column, there's a 5 and a 7 that can see this cell, so this has got to be a 2, and these two are now 5 and 7. And actually this one must be the 7 because of the 5 in the row, and this is the 5. This 7, and this 7 forces 7 into this cell. These two cells, of course, now have to be a 2 and a 3. And given the 2 up here, we can place a 2 in this cell and be done with that. And the last cell here, of course, now is a 9. And this 9 and this 9 and the 9 up here puts a 9 in this cell. So now we have a 4 and a 6, 4 and a 6, 4 and a 6, 4 and a 6, and none of them can be resolved just yet. I think we need to find another 6 and a 4 somewhere. Oh, and we can find a 4, can we? Because this cannot be a 4 in column 9, therefore this one will have to be a 4, and this is now a 3. We have a 3 here, and that forces a 3 in one of these two cells, doesn't it? So a ghost 3 here and this 3, we need to find a 3 for one of these two cells, and it cannot be this cell because of this 3. Therefore the 3 goes here. And lucky for us, the last digit missing here is a 6. It goes here, and that gives us a 6 for this cell, and a 4 for this, 6 for this, and a 4 for this. The corner cell up here still needs a 9. Let's input that. And let's see what else we are missing. These were a 2 and a 6, if memory serves. Can't do much about it at the moment. And these are 2 and a 9. Can't do anything about that. So, well, what we can do is input the last number here, of course, which is a 5. Now we know that this is a 5. And 2, 9. This cannot be a 9. And we still need to find a 3, 6, and a 9 for these 3 empty cells in the block up here. And let's see. The 6 will have to go in one of these cells, and the 9 will have to go in one of these cells, and the 3 will, well, the 3 will have to go here because of these two 3s. So this is now a 6 and a 9. We have a 6 down here. So the 9 goes here and the 6 here, and that finally gives us a 2, 9 that we had going on here. This is a 9 and this is a 2, and that gives us the 3 and the 2 that we still miss down here. Now we know that this is a 2 and this is a 6. And finally, this cell must be a 2, and this cell, of course, must be a 4. And that completes today's puzzle of the New York Times. I hope you enjoyed it and agree with me that it was quite manageable. Please watch this space and come back for more if you want. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.